Hi friends, it's Lisa Hetrick, illustrator for Gina K Designs. I'm so grateful you've joined me today for this tutorial. We're going to have some fun. It's a little bit on the artsy side, and I promise it's going to be a lot of fun. But basically, the design for today was inspired by this dream catcher kind of piece that I had made that fits on an easel that I made for my girly twirly for her room. So a little piece of like home decor, and I used my UR stamp set to kind of create this feathery like look and feel, and I really wanted to replicate that look in a card design. So I had created a shaker card, and I'm a little bit shaker card challenged, so I wanted to take it to another level and modify the design to make it work for a card. So we're going to do that today in the tutorial, and also along the way in the tutorial I shared a little bit. I painted this piece for you for this card for us to use in the card. I painted this embellishment piece to this dream catcher like embellishment, and I'm offering it to you for free as a download on my website, and the information will be in the notes, so no worries. But I did modify the design in multiple colors so that you could make it work for the design that you might create. So let's get started. Here are some of the supplies that I'm going to be using to make today's card. The distress inks in these three colors, and I'm going to be using the Versamark. I love the cubes, just love them. Going to be using some sequins in some blue and iridescent. And I'm also going to be using the Gina K Designs Fine Detail White Embossing Powder. I really like this embossing powder because I could be really clean or really messy with my effects. I'm going to also be using the Bits and Baubles and the wreath image from my UR stamp set so that we can create this feathery, dream catchery look with the card. I'm also going to be using the flower image from the stamp set, some other embellishments, and we're going to use one of the pieces from the stamp set, the small laurel leaf, to kind of extend it out and create a larger embellishment to nest behind the flower. Here are the cardstocks that I'm going to be using for today's project. The Pure Luxury Cardstock Base Weight Black Onyx from Gina K Designs. I'm going to be using a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 Gina K Designs Layering Weight White Cardstock, and I have cut the card to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and scored the card at the top. I cut a peekaboo window from the layering base cardstock with a really simple circle die. This particular circle die is from Hero Arts. It's from the Infinity dies. I really like that die set. It's got a lot in it, so you really can create any kind of size and image for your circle. And it's perfect for this project because I was looking for the right size to fit inside of the wreath image. So instead of taking the entire wreath stamp set and inking it up with Versamark and just stamping it down once around the outside of the circle, I'm going to go in and stamp each individual wreath and kind of work my way around the circle. Doing it this way is also going to give me the opportunity to take each one of those wreath pieces and nest them closer together to create that really feathery look. In between each stamping, you're going to need to make sure you clean your wreath so that extra Versamark doesn't get all over everything. So I'm using this new product from Gina K Designs called the Tidy Towel. It really is kind of fun to use. It keeps your stamps clean and tidy, and it works with plain water. And I am super messy with my stamps, and I barely clean them. So this is really making the job of cleaning them a whole lot easier for me. So I really like this product. I keep working my way around that circle, first putting Versamark on the stamp, then applying the detail white embossing powder, embossing it, cleaning my stamp, and starting over. So I didn't use the wreath in the order in which it was designed. So I would pick different pieces of the wreath and nest them really close together and work my way around the circle. It might seem like doing the stamping this way, one at a time, is taking a whole lot longer. And if you're short on time, it might not feel like an appealing thing to do, but it really didn't take a lot of extra time. And doing it one at a time really enabled me to get those feathery like wreath pieces a lot closer together around the circle. Now it's time to add some color to make this thing come alive. So here are the distress inks that I'm going to be using. I use the Mermaid Lagoon, the Cracked Pistachio, and the Shaded Lilac. I really love this color combination, and the Shaded Lilac is going to really make some things pop for this piece that I am going to add to it. Now this little embellishment piece I painted. I am a painter, a watercolor painter, and I really liked creating an embellishment that was unique for this project, and I'm going to be giving that piece to you free as a download in many, many different color combinations so that you can use it as an embellishment on your project or other projects. So I will have that link in the notes for you to download that for free. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I apply ink to this project. I work my way from the inside of the circle out instead of the outside of the circle in. So I'm using the Mermaid Lagoon first to just kind of lay down some color, and then adding the Cracked Pistachio around the circle. So I'm getting that mix between the blue and the green to kind of create that ethereal look to it, and also kind of make that resist pop. I really love this color combination. I think it works very, very well together. So I'm just using the mini ink blending tools to kind of blend this around. You could take the actual ink pad and rub it down onto the surface, and that works too. But I really like using these blending tools. I'm a hot mess with ink and paints, and I get it everywhere. So this kind of helps control me a little bit and kind of keeps things on the paper instead of all over my hands and clothes, and works really, really well. The reason why I like using the distress inks in these kind of resist techniques, because they get in every nook and cranny and crevice. They also kind of show the imperfections in my embossing, and I really, really like it because it kind of gives me that artsy feel that I'm looking for, that ethereal look that I'm looking for this project. I'm going to go ahead and use the Shaded Lilac, and I'm using the mini blending tool. This is a brand new piece of foam because I haven't used it in this ink yet. And I thought about taking the ink pad and mashing it down in there, but I went ahead and decided to use the mini blending tool. And I'm taking a little bit of that lilac and strategically kind of placing it in 3 different places in this design, layering it over top of that blue because it's going to give me a little bit more pop. The beautiful thing about this inks is that they do kind of work a lot like watercolor. You can get some transparent effects. So some of the blue is going to come through the lilac, and it's going to give it a whole brand new look. And I'm really digging it. And I love the final effect that particular color combination, the Shaded Lilac and the Mermaid Lagoon, gives me for this project. So I went ahead and took a piece of just paper towel and kind of wiped off the ink off of the embossing area. To help give me that sparkly, dreamy effect, I'm using these perfect pearls that I have in this mini mister, and just went ahead and sprayed it right on the layering cardstock. And you can see it's kind of shimmery and a little bit wet here, but I really, really love that effect. And because I went and used those perfect pearls, it does really take some of the pop of the color away. So I went back in with a little bit of the distress inks and just kind of popped out some of those blues and greens in a couple places, not the whole thing, just to give it a little more pop on top of all that shimmer and shine. It's time to kind of put the card together with the embellishment. So here is the free download of the Dreamcatcher embellishment piece I have in a couple different color combinations that is perfect for the center of this card. I'm using the one that has the purples and the blues and a little bit of greens in it to kind of really pop and go with the look and feel of the outer portion of the card. So we're going to go ahead and build out the wreath a little bit more. You have seen me do this in a couple other videos, just kind of blowing this out a little bit, adding some black ink back into the design because the black ink is going to give a nice contrast to the black cardstock that we're going to be using as the base. So I just worked my way around the wreath with the different bits and bobble pieces just to kind of blow it out a little bit, give that nice feathery look to the wreath. Okay, so now I'm going to start to create the embellishment piece that's going to go in that lower right hand corner. And using this laurel piece from the bits and bobbles of the UR stamp set, we're going to create an elongated embellishment. And once the embellishment is stamped, I went ahead and fussy cut it out. Now, a lot of people don't like to fussy cut things, and I do. I think it's kind of therapeutic a little bit, and it's pretty easy to cut these embellishments out really quickly. Now that the embellishments are done, it's time to move on to the flower piece that's going to sit on top of those three embellishments. And I'm using the digital die cut that I have on my website for you for free. You could also fussy cut this out, and it's really, really easy shape. So I went ahead and inked it up with Versamark and applied the embossing powder and went ahead and heat set it. And to finish off the embellishment, after I heat set it, I went ahead and went back to the Mermaid Lagoon and the cracked pistachio and applied some color to it to just give it that color pop that was going to coordinate with the outside of the wreath. Now here's the part in the design where I start putting the pieces together and kind of negotiating with myself and seeing what it's going to take to kind of finish it off. So I went ahead and took the base and just laid it on the cardstock so that I can see where the embellishment was going to lay in the peekaboo window and start to build on top of it. And it's perfect. It just fits in there perfectly. So I went ahead and just applied some really simple adhesive, and you could also use this embellishment as a shaker card. I am shaker card challenged, people. I managed to get sequins all over the place when I create shaker cards. I do love doing them, so I probably will have a tutorial coming up using one. But I wanted to create this embellishment first so that you could use it if you wanted to create a shaker card down the road. So this piece fits in there really nicely. I kind of just put some adhesive on it and just put it down in position so that it wouldn't be moving. This go round, I managed to put the larger sized foam pieces on the back of this piece so that I could go ahead and adhere it. I'm pretty famous for grabbing the little ones and using like 10 times the amount to get the height that I want. So using the bigger ones was like a stroke of genius for me. Now that everything is in position and everything is nice and adhered down, it's time to finish off the wreath in that lower right-hand corner, getting the flower and getting that extended embellishment that we created down onto the card. So I grabbed the crystalline drops from Gina K Designs. This is a really great glue, and it's simple and easy to use. You could use any kind of glue that you're comfortable with. I just happened to grab this one because it just sticks really quickly. And I went ahead and put those embellishments down. You only need a little dot of glue to kind of get those three extended laurel leaf pieces down. Put a little bit of adhesive back on the flower. Instead of using a foam dot, I really didn't need any more height in this card, so it was perfect just to kind of lay it on there. So now it's time to put the finishing touches on this card. Because that dream catcher piece is in the middle and I'm trying to create this kind of ethereal look and feel for it. I'm going to use some of these sequins, and I picked up this jewel picker from Marvi Uchida. I'm probably going to say that wrong, but if you can see, my fingers are little and they're nubbins, and sometimes it's really hard for me to pick up the sequins. And this thing is brilliant because it just kind of makes the job a whole lot easier. You're able to just kind of pick the embellishment up and put it right down in the glue. So I went around the entire wreath and the inside of the wreath image and just kind of strategically applied some sequins in different places. When I'm applying sequins or any kind of embellishment, I tend to work in threes or groups of threes. And then I'm using these Nuvo drops in this pearlescent color. I kind of went around the areas where the sequins are and just applied a couple extra drops to create that, again, to finish off that ethereal look to things. I did go ahead in and added a little bit more stamping around the wreath. So here are the two cards together, and I really love this shaker card and think it would be a lot of fun with that dream catcher embellishment. And I wanted to share this elongated piece. This piece is kind of artsy, and I really love using the wreath image as feathers. And here's the embellishment sheet created with my original piece of watercolor art that is available to you for free, and it makes the perfect embellishment for this card and for this particular art piece that inspired the whole project. I'm really digging this. I know my embossing is not perfect, but I really do love the speckle effects that I can create with embossing that's a little bit on the messy side. Here are all three projects together, and I really enjoyed sharing this tutorial with you today. I'm so grateful you joined me. Thanks so much for watching.